Serious, failed suiciders, what was the aftermath and how did you adjust to going forward in life?
Quick shout out to /r/Suicide Watch, probably already been mentioned, but some awesome people over there. I've had a couple, still never been completely clear with family members. I assume they understand from the context, but it's never been explicit. Honestly, Redditors know more about those times than my very close family members. I was going through a lot, and have made progress but still working on stuff, but Reddit's helped me a lot. Just random imbsing 24/7, go to the /rising section of something you like and start talking about random shit if you're in a dark place. Life going forward, people don't look at you differently as much as you'd think, most likely they don't know anyways, but even if they do, more people than you'd think have dealt with some serious issues. They aren't looking down at you, or if they are, they can go fuck themselves. I have never really wanted to live. But after I pretty much almost stabbed myself with a big kitchen knife, I decided that I would see it through. To be honest, right now I'm in college working super hard and I still don't want to live. I'm better now. But getting better and wanting to live are not the same thing. Regardless, why am I still doing all this if I don't want to live? Because how could I not? It's the ultimate fuck you to my mother, genetics, and myself. They all thought and said I wouldn't amount to anything. That my demons were too much. But fucking look at me now. My anger is too great to just stop. This is why I will remain alone. No children, no spouse. I don't really want to be here. This is for my benefit as a person. To grow and gain perspective and wisdom. I'm not here for pleasure. And I'm certainly not crazy about people in general. But that's how I do it. A furnace of anger that isn't going out. The worst thing for me is not what happened directly after, but what I have to live with now. I never expected to live to 27. I've been suicidal, with a lucky break for some years, since I was 15. So I stopped caring about certain stuff. I neglected friends and lost all of them. I did not open important letters or go to scheduled appointments. It's not like I spent money on frivolous things or whatever, I just existed to plan my inevitable death. But it never came. And all that stuff just piles up and leaves a giant mess. At first it's only in your head and you think you're worthless, but as time goes by and you leave mess after mess, maybe it's not just in your head. Also, it's like watching me from afar. I know that it's stupid and I don't really want to do it, but I can't stop it. It's like the depression has taken over and lets me watch. At times I feel like an imposter. Maybe I make all this stuff up and am just a lazy, no good guy that likes to hurt loved ones. And that's even worse. Currently facing the third time I'll have to go to a psychiatric hospital, so don't worry about it. I'm just wondering how long and how often this has to happen for me to be able to live just the normal life that I want and always wanted. Having acute depression and an anxiety disorder means I have tried and failed a few times, however at the moment I am really glad I survived. My anxiety means that I start hallucinating, mainly people that aren't there, and the depression accentuates it. The first real time I overdosed and started fitting at various times during the day. Somehow I still went to a job interview that day and proceeded to fit on the bus home. I didn't get the job. The last time I tried it I wound up in the psychiatric unit after trying to hang myself. I stayed there for 2 weeks and was diagnosed with psychosis and BPD. I read up on what they were and vowed to not be the typical borderline because I was destroying my life. I had no friends anymore, my family had kicked me out because it wasn't a healthy environment for either of us, and I had no job. I was given a CPN, didn't allow any distractions towards my recovery including romantic relationships, and 8 years later I have scraped my life back together piece by piece. I have been told by my psychiatrist that I am no longer considered to be borderline. It's taken a long time, but I'm now back in work and have managed to stay there for 3 years, which is a record for me. I'm in a flat which is stable that doesn't require me to leave after 6 months, and lastly I am in the most wonderful and balanced relationship. There's no toxicity, instead it's really healthy and we know to give each other space without getting mad about it. We've talked about the possibility of it happening again, however I am fully medicated and have a really great support network, so we know how to handle it should it get that desperate. It's such hard work getting to this point, but I urge anybody to reach out even though it sometimes feels like the only option. I'm no expert on mental health, but I am here if anybody wants to reach out and have someone listen without judgment. It actually helped me. No joke here. 2 years ago I attempted suicide with pills and they said I was dead and they brought me back. Apparently my neighbor needed something and she knew I was home. When I didn't answer she called cops. Well, while they scanned for brain damage they found cysts in my brain, pressuring it and triggering mood swings. After the necessary operation and treatment I am healthy as they come. If you feel depressed or having mood swings, go to a doctor and get your head checked. The immediate aftermath was awful. Not much changed except instead of feeling nothing, I felt a lot of anger. I was so mad that I had been stopped. I was so angry at my husband, who had me committed, that I could barely talk to him when he came to see me in the crisis center. But it got better. I got the help I needed. Life wasn't awful, my brain was broken. I was not useless, my brain was broken. I was not unlovable, my brain was broken. Life is better now than I ever thought possible. Even from before I went through my darkest times, I never thought life could be like this for me. It gets better. You just have to stop listening to your broken brain telling you that it won't. I read this as failed suicide bombers. Thought it was mighty optimistic of op. After attempting to poison myself, I realized that I actually wanted to live, that I didn't really want to die. I just wanted some emotional pain to go away. I've kept that with me now for years whenever things seem bleak or depression rears its head. I think to myself that those suicidal thoughts are just that, just thoughts. They don't really come that often, but I'm more or less prepared when they do. I also have kids to protect and raise now, so that definitely changed my outlook on life and where my values were at. About a month ago, after my life went pretty much to shit, I took nearly a month's worth of antidepressants, ready to end it all in something of an act of irony. It was about 4 a.m. and I fell asleep shortly after. I woke up to my body forcefully rejecting the meds and I remember being in pretty intense pain. I asked my mom to drive me to the hospital because I couldn't stop throwing up. To this day she still believes I had a cold. Let's just say my mom was part of the problem. The doctor I saw also thought it was simple, so I was just honest with him and he simply said, "Oh, yeah, don't do that again," and sent me on my way. Afterwards, I tried to talk to some of my friends about it and they got so pissed off that we really haven't talked since, so the days that followed weren't much better. On the bright side, I've since been able to move out of that house and in with some people that make me feel safe and worthy of being alive and have helped me begin the healing process. I just want to say that you all are strong people. Really strong. Keep fighting, guys. I'm proud of you. Wow, thank you everyone. This was really nice to wake up to. It's been a tough week. A friend called the cops when he suspected what I was up to and I got arrested and spent a couple nights in a psych ward. It's one day at a time. It helps knowing it can't get worse than it was that night. I failed in the sense I didn't get very close. I was on heavy drugs at the time that my doctor doubled because I was having horrible side effects. So I guess more was the answer? Basically, as someone who has never dealt with depression or suicide in any way, I was suddenly nearing the end of my elaborate plan to kill myself. I was lying in bed thinking over my day at 3 a.m. and drugged out of my mind told my husband everything I had to do that day, basically my plan. I had 2 finals that day and hadn't studied 1 second for them because I was going to die anyways, duh. Husband drove me to take my finals, then drove me to the doctor. I saw 3 that day and they followed me everywhere. They took me off the meds cold turkey and I went home. I was 103 pounds and I'm 5'6". Ugh, so terrifying. When the drugs wore off I cried for days because as an A student I had bombed my finals. I passed because the start of the class held me up, but I killed my GPA. About 2 months of my life was gone from my memory. It scared the crap out of me. Drugs scare the crap out of me. My therapist kept insisting I was depressed and put me on antidepressants, and I nearly killed myself. Wasn't scary then because I had no idea what was happening. It was like being in a trance. My note was creepy AF. It doesn't make any sense. It made my heart hurt for people in depression because I had no comprehension of what it was like until those meds. One day I sat on the couch at 7 AM, then got up to open the blinds a second later and it was dark out. 5 PM, so terrifying how time would just disappear like I had passed out. I'm so sorry for everyone who deals with that frown.